Thank you.
That's a good question.
Let's start.
The test.
Call to order. We'll have pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, pull up the agenda. Everybody had a chance to look at the agenda?
Yes, I'd like to amend the agenda and place public comments prior to new business.
Prior to business. You want to have media too, or just public?
Well, public, I don't know if there's media comments. Public comments should be before any business.
Okay. Do I have any problem with that? Vote on it? No? Okay. I will not be running the meeting at that time. That's okay. Yep. Media comment. Okay. My comments are that it's been a good run for me. I enjoyed it, particularly working with Cheryl and Bob. We met every week just about and discussed issues. It's worked out pretty well. So without much ado, I'll actually form.
Well, we certainly, I suppose, the next two.
He just pulled in, I'm sorry.
Just hold
Oh, okay.
Wait.
Yeah. I was going to say, the next two agenda items are mine,
Yes, they
so
are. Yeah.
I certainly know that the existing board members don't want me to repeat the governing documents more than once.
He's going to read that entire book.
He
told me that.
I summarized. It looks a little more formidable than it is. So. By the way, I did want to take the opportunity to thank the board for your accommodation of my scheduling. As you all know, I spent 10 days in Ireland with my family, 10 of us, and it was the only time we could get together. So I appreciate the accommodation very much, and I know that it may have been some of, but I have my gratitude.
It's Ireland, it was okay.
Sorry, we've already had the pledge of allegiance.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. And we approved the agenda, and I made copies. And now we're up to the swearing in of the new board members. You got here just in time.
We are indeed. So the new board members would like to stand, please. And raise your right hand. I repeat your name.
I, Slobodan Benedict,
Do hereby pledge
do hereby pledge
to serve the people of Ocean Pines
To serve the people of Ocean Pines
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability,
and to adhere to the principles
and to adhere to the principles
as defined in the Ocean Pines corporate documents
as defined in the Ocean Pines corporate documents
which govern the association.
which govern the association.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay. Second part is all.
Yes. As is tradition, I kind of acclimate the new board members to the documents and the law which governs the association. And you all, have they received their booklets yet?
The majority of
Yeah. Okay. Then some of these things, obviously, you're already familiar with. So I'll take them in order, really, of their legal obligation with respect to the homeowners associations. And as you all know, the first is the Maryland Homeowners Association Act, which is Title 11B of the Real Property Article in the Annotated Code. And the Homeowners Association Act came about after the Maryland Condominium Act was passed in the early 60s. and it was intended to relate really two things. Number one was the obligation of developers in their developments, which created homeowners associations. And the homeowners association, of course, just as Ocean Pines, is the governing body that is the governing entity of Ocean Pines. The Maryland Homeowners Association Act has certain portions of it that most all of you are very familiar with. What comes to mind, of course, are your obligations to have open meetings with respect to those matters which are not specifically denoted to be allowed in closed meetings. And we've already had some contact with that. I'm called upon from time to time to give my opinion with respect to open meetings and closed meetings. The closed meetings are intended to be limited for specific purposes that are germane to governing, that may not be appropriate for open session. Personnel matters, contracts that are in formation that would be detrimental to disclose to the public and other private matters. One interesting thing was that there used to be, in the original Maryland Homeowners Association Act, a catch-all phrase, which by supermajority the boards of homeowners associations could vote go into closed session. That was taken out. I suggest very strongly, not due to any action of Ocean Pines Association, but probably due to the fact that some homeowners associations abuse that provision by simply voting at any time by a supermajority to go into closed session. Ocean Pines, as most of you have heard me say, is the second largest homeowners association in the state of Maryland, second only to Columbia. And we are a community, as you all know, that is the largest community in Worcester County, and yet we are not a municipality. So you all are the governing body of the association. Maryland Association, Homeowners Association Act has not been recently amended. It relates to matters such as not just open meetings and closed meetings, but your obligation to provide your members with information, documents they are entitled to see, matters of that nature, and also things such as limiting factors on what you cannot prohibit, such as home care. Apparently some associations attempted to prohibit child care facilities as being a business that they would not do. That is now prohibited. And other matters such as signage that you can and cannot prevent and regulate. So the Maryland Homeowners Association Act is the major Maryland legislation with regard to your governance. Then, of course, you have your corporate charter. In 2013, in November 2013, we filed with the State Department of Assessments and Taxation a comprehensive articles of amendment and restatement of your corporate charter. It had been amended, I think, 4 or 5 times prior to that, and with the help of the bylaws committee, the restatement and amendment of the corporate charter was filed. So it is the governing, I call it kind of the skeleton of your corporate organization. After that, we have the restrictive covenants within the subdivision. As you know, there are, I think, 19 sections in Ocean Pines. There are 2 types of restrictive covenants, what I call the original Boise Cascade restrictive covenants, and then the Villages of Ocean Pines, which was created by the Balfour Corporation in a limited liability company called Ocean Pines LLC created the villages of Ocean Pines. The main difference in the restrictive covenants, although they mirror each other, is that the intention of the Balfour restrictive covenants was to create an ambiance in each section that was unique to that section. Colonial Village, the Point, those types of things, the park, were intended to be their own separate ambiance with regard to the sections. The only other thing that is predominantly different is that in the newer sections, there is an appeal process from the decision of the Architectural Review Committee to the Board of Directors. It has been generally not used because the older restrictive covenants do not allow that. So the boards have generically said, we don't want to give one section of the community rights to appeal to the board where the other community sections do not. Ocean Pines, of course, as it becomes more developed, the ARC has much less significant functions in the initial development of vacant properties than they used to. Years ago, of course, it was a regular, reoccurring matter. Now they determine more generally with regard to the enforcement of the restrictive covenants. I have said that the restrictive covenants, the declaration of restrictions in each section, is really a contract between the corporation, Ocean Pines Association, and its members. It is a limitation on your authority, but it is also a denotation of your authority with respect to matters such as maintenance of property and maintaining value in the community. The thing that you all will become most generally utilizing in your operations are the bylaws. And the bylaws were last revised on August 9, 2008. They are very comprehensive in their content and really are a good workable document. I've characterized those as kind of the flesh on the skeleton of the corporate charter, and the bylaws are your method by which you all operate, hold your meetings, and handle processes within the association. Also, the statutory law of Maryland provides you all, as our volunteers, with immunities. And it's very important to know that as a member of a board of directors of a homeowners association, you have statutory immunity being sued. It's not absolute immunity, because if it were determined that you all acted in bad faith, grossly negligent, then that doesn't shield you. But basically, the statute literally says that while an officer or director is acting within the scope of their duties, they may not be sued. That a person, even though it is the action of the board of directors that is the cause of action, they must sue the association. The association, I will tell you, has a comprehensive set of insurance policies, which include, of course, defense of the association and the corporation in matters. But you have statutory immunity. We have used it at least on 2 occasions since I've been representing the association. And in both cases, the individual directors were summarily dismissed from the lawsuit because you have a corporation that is fully insured and your statutory immunity is clear. I haven't had a court yet determine that the person suing the individual directors was acting in bad faith, because it's really never gotten that far. The summary judgment motions to get the directors and the officers out of their individual designation, and it's always worked. And I presume that as long as you all keep acting in good faith, then it always will be a summarily determined matter by the courts. So you do have that comfort of immunity. The condominium board of directors also have similar immunity. Finally are the Architectural Review Committee guidelines, which are utilized for the regulation of the use of property and the condition of property. You all from time to time will vote on whether or not to do one of two things: to go onto a property to enforce the good maintenance of the property, which you're entitled to do by a supermajority vote. You're entitled to go aboard, to take such action as is necessary to maintain the property in a manner satisfactory to you all, and then assess the property owner the cost of doing so. Alternatively, and this happens also frequently, you all vote to instruct Bob to send to my office the violation, and we file on a regular basis petitions for injunctive relief. And I will say that we enjoy, not because of anything other than the reasonableness of the action of the board, we enjoy almost universally unanimous success in all of our lawsuits. Frankly, I don't recall the last time we lost one on the enforcement of the either the guidelines or the restrictive covenants, because you all make the determination that it's an appropriate matter to do so. So those are your governing documents, and as I say, you will become more and more familiar with them as time goes on, because they are utilized regularly. Be glad to answer any questions anyone has. Yes.
But you didn't mention the resolution. We also have resolution.
Oh well, you have resolutions that you pass for matters, dare I say, for vote counting and things of that nature. Those resolutions are passed by you and are determined by a majority vote of the board to the conditions under which you act. And I don't have the resolutions. They're in Mr. Thompson's office, and there are a passel of them, sure. So they come about time.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
Yes, sir.
The next part is the election of officers in the following order. Now, I am president now, and I will tell you I'm not thinking one yet. So therefore, that in mind, I would like to put up the name of Cheryl Jacobs as president. She's worked with me for a year, and Bob, and she's learned an awful lot. And it's been my right arm in many situations that we've done involved. But that's only one. If somebody else has a nomination, yes,
I nominate Tom Herrick.
Okay, so we have two nominations. So that means we'll have to have a ballot. That means, Teresa, you'll have to make up. That's right. All right.
Mr. President, are there any further nominations?
I'm sorry, any further nominations? I'm sorry. Okay. Each one take one of these ballots. Let me have
It is traditional, unless someone has another idea, that we count the ballots and simply announce the result.
What we do also in this particular case is that if we have a winner, if we have a winner right away, we should, because we only have 2 candidates. If we have a winner right away, then that person takes over as president right away. And they can come in here or sit here if they want. I'll change seats and take my chair with me. And or they can stay where they are. Doesn't matter. It's up to them.
Are those ballots in there?
They were the blanks.
Oh, those
For
are
the
blanks.
next few.
I missed it.
No.
They were pre-filled already, so
We're on to the third.
Yeah.
I can
Well,
certify.
if Bates Motor come out of there, I'm going.
When I started passing them out. Mr. Herrick has been elected.
Congratulations.
That's an alternative.
Fine. I guess nominees for vice president.
I nominate Cheryl.
I nominate Dave Stevens.
Go to ballots.
Any further
Any
nominations?
further?
Any other nominees? Thanks.
Mr. Stevens has been elected.
Okay, now, any nominees for secretary?
I'd like to nominate Slobodan for secretary.
Any other nominees? Secretary. Nominees for treasurer.
Nominate Pat Supik.
I was going to nominate Pat as well.
Okay. Any other? Super, the treasurer. Nominees for assistant treasurer.
I'll nominate Gene Ringsdorf.
Any other nominees?
I'd nominate Art Carmine. In the past, we've held 2 assistant treasurer positions, so will we be able to do that again this year?
Yes.
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 Bylaws allow that.
2 assistants.
Who was it?
Well,
Art Carmine.
Yeah, well, if you're going to do the second one, do the sequence. I mean.
Well, are there any other nominees, and do we agree to have 2?
Yeah, we can always, a second assistant treasurer.
Okay.
After the first one.
All right,
Is that
then
correct,
withdraw.
Joe?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there should be
Okay.
one then another.
Then another, otherwise.
Do you accept? Congratulations.
Now, the second
Do we
one.
want to nominate a second assistant?
I would nominate a second assistant treasurer as Art Carmine.
Any others? Any other nominees? No?
No.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Yeah, the general manager usually signs checks also. So the that would be a possibility.
Can you clarify if that is by the bylaws or required by the bylaws, or
No, it's not required.
it's just a matter of fact for you to consider?
Is there an issue with our performing that duty?
Was that a question for me?
Yes, I guess.
Well, the general manager's responsibilities are that he's the chief administrative officer of the association, is responsible for the operational management of the association, and is obligated to organize, consolidate, combine offices, positions, departments, and units as are necessary for efficient operations. He's the chief personnel officer of the association, and maintains personnel policies, procedures manual, reviews annually all benefit programs, wage schedules, training programs, classification schedule, and advises the board of directors of the financial conditions and future needs and guidelines, and shall sign checks, drafts, and other obligations of the association. So he has that authority to sign checks, regardless of whether you appoint him or not. But he has the right to sign checks, drafts, and other obligations of the association.
But that does not include naming Art as assistant.
It does not. No, it doesn't.
Okay. Jean and Art are assistant treasurers.
And along with that, just from an internal control, auditing internal control standpoint, we should make sure that his functions, if he can't function independently, and it says it's signed by the board of directors, so maybe we just need to make sure it's an issue that could act.
Well, you're the treasurer, Pat. I think we would follow your recommendation in that regard.
Yes.
I'm just saying I'd like to check that issue.
Nominee for assistant secretary.
Is that what we have, Michelle?
I nominate Michelle Bennett. Any others? Michelle Bennett. Appointment for the following positions: legal counsel.
I would like to submit a comment with regard to the appointment of legal counsel and the auditor. With all due respect to Mr. Moore and to the present auditor, I would like to state, according to Article 9, Association Administration and Operations, Sections 905, Purchasing and Contracts. All purchases and contracts for services or supplies for the association shall, to the fullest extent practicable, be made by open competitive procurement and procedures. I would like to ask consideration be made to defer to the appointments till we can actually comply with the bylaws and conduct an open competitive procedures for these two services. And I hope Mr. Moore would be one of those to respond to the RFP process once the board had an opportunity to come together.
Is there a second?
I'd say.
All in favor? Say aye.
Opposed?
Opposed? Did you vote?
Oh, I voted aye.
Aye.
Yes.
All we're talking about is doing RFPs, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And
We're
we
not
have-
talking about terminating.
and we have-
No, just complying with
and we have counsel and
absolutely, yeah.
financial financial.
Absolutely.
consultant
Auditor,
if we
yeah,
need
that-
it in the
Just
interim.
to do it by the bylaws, using competitive process. That's all.
Nominees for parliamentarian. I'll nominate Dave Stevens. Any other nominees? Dave? Okay. Thank you. Establishment of Advisory Committee Board liaisons. Resolution C01, President shall appoint the directors as liaison to each committee. The fact that I just was made president minutes ago, I'm not prepared because I would like to query all the directors and see what they're interested in before I assign those positions.
That's what I do.
Hopefully, I would be able to at least give them one of the two that they'll probably be assigned. That is their preference. Any objections to?
If I'm out of order, just tell me I'm out of order.
No, you're not.
As treasurer, that the normal function is the liaison to the budget and finance. The budget and finance committee is meeting Wednesday morning, and we're at a time to develop budget recommendations. And if I was going to that meeting just to hand over papers, but if I go as the liaison, I feel like the meeting, which is already scheduled, could be more productive. Since that's the normal role for the treasurer, is there any problem? Just
I have no problem
saying right
signing.
now I'd be liaison to the budget.
I have no
and
problem
finance,
signing
and
you. To,
that would be effective. So like Wednesday morning.
yes.
Mr. President, if I may speak,
It's also true that the secretary needs.
You already
that's exactly what I was
Yes.
going to say.
Exactly. I understand.
Those are the
I
two.
understand.
Yes. It's exactly what I was going to point out also.
Okay.
That secretary, according to the bylaws and the resolution MO6, automatically is up to the elections committee.
Establishment of the 2016-2017 board meeting calendar. Again, I would welcome input from the entire board on this. I do have a suggestion that I would open for discussion on my own thinking, and I'm sure you all have your own ideas also, which we can talk about. But I was thinking of having work sessions before the board meetings to go over exactly what the agenda should be established for the following board meeting. And this way we can have discussion on different motions or what we want to accomplish at that meeting. And this way when we have the board meeting, and also those work sessions would be open to the membership, of course, for feedback and input. And then this way, when we have the board meeting, it would expedite the process and we can go through that board meeting expeditious way. And I think it would be beneficial to the membership to do regard. And I would throw out different ideas like maybe the third Wednesday of every month having a working session, and the last Saturday or Friday have board meeting. I appreciate any feedback on what your thoughts are on that type of calendar.
Are you then suggesting that all board meetings are going to be after hours on a Friday or on a Saturday?
Well, I'd like to have some.
Is that what you're
I'd
saying?
like to try to put meetings on Saturday only so more of the association membership can attend. People who just come for the weekends in the summertime, and also part-timers that come for the weekends, they would have the opportunity to attend and give feedback to the board.
So would it be a mix between Friday evenings and Saturday days, or what?
Well, again, it's for everybody to discuss, but I would prefer a Saturday morning.
Oh, because you said Friday for Saturday, so I was just trying to get clarity on what you were actually saying.
If I could interrupt just to give you back calendar here, the third Wednesday is the 21st of September, and the last
Okay, that could be
Saturday is the
adjusted to the
24th.
14th and 24th.
Well, you want to go to the second Wednesday?
Well, no, I'd like it third, but certain months we'd have to look at the calendar. It may be the third if the Saturday is not inclusive in that month. We can adjust. It's just a thought. Go ahead.
Might suggest maybe given that looking at meetings towards the end of the month and given November and December, we're going into a holiday, perhaps today we just establish a schedule for September and October, and by the October meeting, once we can see the effectiveness of the two-meeting system, then at that point we set the schedule for the remainder of the year, also validate the increase in attendance by shifting to Saturday to make sure that we're actually serving the needs of the majority of the populace.
There are statistics on how the attendance does not change when you put the meetings at evenings or weekends, and fortunately it would change.
Are those general statistics or specific?
Specific
I have
to Ocean
Ocean
Pine.
Ponds,
Because I've asked
numbers,
about
yeah.
that past.
Part of,
People
part,
complain
part of the
about it.
reason I think some of that may be, Cheryl, is the fact that the meetings, for whatever reason, sometimes they last 2.5, 3 hours. And a lot of people don't want to spend the short time they have here on the weekend sitting in a meeting at, 9 o'clock till 12, sometimes 12:30.
Well,
Whereas if we do all the work beforehand, the meeting should really only last about an hour. And this way they would be able to come in there, give their feedback, and understand what we did business-wise.
I agree that that's possibly a reason, but they've also had them on weeknights as well, and it didn't make a difference. But I believe that there should be a mix. I don't think they should be all on the same. I think there should be some during the week evenings and some Saturdays. Mix it up, not always the same. That way you see it makes a difference with attending, and it gives everybody different choices.
Are you fine with the working session before the meeting to go through and set the agenda so we know, and our discussion beforehand?
So I'll have to wait and see how stuff that turns out to be. If you're having 4 meetings just to have meetings, and that doesn't make any sense.
Mr.
Well-
President,
Go ahead.
you're not too disagreeable, Cheryl, but it has been suggested that we are most productive in terms of bringing people in when we keep a schedule and we stick to that schedule. So people will know that our meetings are always on, or always on, whatever the always on is. And I have absolutely no preference to it. I also agree that I've seen this experiment going on for 9 years now, and it hasn't made a difference, a visible difference. I have seen the 2-meeting system, and I found that people like the idea of being able to come in and participate more in the working session, and it does definitely speed up the second session. Tom tried it because it's make a motion, limited discussion, and move on. But again, I have no preference. I don't even know which is best.
Mr. President, as a new board member, I would like to follow on what Brett Hill suggested. I don't know how Subic feels, but I think in the context of work sessions and board meetings, subsequent sessions, there are a number of pressing issues and things that new board members need to become familiar with. And I think work sessions prior to board meetings become extremely beneficial and valuable to us as board members. Therefore, I suggest for the next 2 or 3 months that we set the agenda for work sessions and board meetings, trying to accommodate everybody's preferences and schedules. And then during our next meeting, we try to work out the rest of the calendar for the board meetings. But initially, while we're here, my suggestion is let's pin down working sessions and the board meetings for the next 3 months. There's a lot of work to be done, and as a new board members, we can certainly benefit from additional time which work sessions will provide.
Yes.
And I guess the reason I'm thinking about 2 different weeks, and I just have a personal problem, but I know some of the other board members too. That takes 2 weeks. Is there a reason that I guess we have the space between the working session and the board meeting that long? We need that time.
If we develop an agenda based on the work session, we need a week's. In other words, if we met, say, on a Wednesday, by Friday they can type up the agenda, which is at least, it should be 7 days before the meeting. And this way we'd have that agenda set, and we've pretty much decided on how we would proceed, so that the second meeting should be quick. Just approving what we've already discussed.
Right, right. Okay, I was just thinking, just thinking about my schedule. That's all.
So if
2-week chunks, but I'll.
so you're suggesting it not be a 2-week chunk, that the both meetings could happen during the same.
No,
No.
taking a Wednesday
No,
and
because of the
They
agenda.
gotta-
taking
No,
a
because of the-
Wednesday and 10
Wednesday to
days.
Saturday is 10 days.
Because of the
10
time.
days. You need 7-day notice for the agenda.
We have the ability to be there telephonic,
Yes.
which this is for me to work out, I guess. I just was thinking about it 2 weeks.
Well, I know what you're saying, but
Well, the good thing is if I can make I have to figure this out. If the
Yeah.
Finance Committee is one of those times too. That's great then.
I would suggest in the past that talk about doing a different thing is that in fact, you set the agenda for the working session, and it's just about the same agenda as you have. There may be modifications. The agenda, it's the same business. In one, we sit there and talk, and we get input from the community, and they get to talk, and basically set, what we decided, and then we go do the formal decision. The agenda's the same, and you could do it within 1 week. We did it within 1 day, morning, afternoon. I'm not suggesting that, but it's certainly not a problem to do it in the same way. And if you do it in the same way, think of the people too.
Is there a preference to do it in the same week?
I mean, for me, there is, and I guess anybody that you have a travel kind of a schedule, and then it would be a week that I would know I would want to not schedule in that week, because my preference would be to be in person at as many weeks as I could.
What if we did like Monday and Saturday? So in September, we looked at the 19th and the 24th, and then in October, perhaps the 17th and the 22nd.
That was a
That's all right with me.
All right. Anything.
Say that again, Mr.
I said for the month of September, a working session on the 19th.
19th?
Yes, and then a board meeting on Saturday the 24th. And then in the month of October, Monday. The holidays aren't on here. So do you know if the 17th is Columbus Day?
No, it's not.
Okay. All right.
I have
okay. All right. Great. So October 7th, Monday, October 17th for a working session, and Saturday the 22nd.
Close. A week.
Okay. All right.
I know that I'm not available.
Would it be better shift to Friday?
Nope, not available. I don't normally have been planning schedule around having Saturday work, so.
If we go to Friday the 23rd of September, so we could still hold the 19th, does that Friday we did an afternoon meeting?
I'm supposed to have town for that starting 1:30.
How about we do a morning meeting on the 23rd?
Works, but I think that was the purpose of food. So don't worry about it. If I'm available.
Well, up 2 days, my opinion. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to say. I take that back.
Yeah, I thought we were going to have
Take back what I
working
was
sessions
thinking.
for particular issues that we work on, as opposed to working the same things that's going to be on the agenda for the regular.
Well, the idea is that you
Could be that.
pretty much decided and had your discussion, and then that meeting would be quick, and people may be interested in coming, and we get more input.
I think it would also keep motions from being tabled, because if a point comes up for discussion, where in the past there's been disagreement or further information required, we have several days in between the working session and the actual vote. If there's one piece of information that's needed that we're relying on Bob to get for us or one of his staff members, it would allow that extra input to come in so we could make an effective decision and not have issues going for months. But I would think we'd be able to be more efficient in actually getting motions pushed through and seeing production out of the board.
Yeah, make things happen. You know that.
Well,
Well, do you want to try it for first 2 or 3 months and see if it
Yeah,
works?
let's just-
I think that's a
let's
great
do
way to
that.
try-
Let's just
try
do
it.
September and October and reevaluate.
Try it.
Okay. Okay, so we'll settle on the 19th and the 24th of September. And did we agree on the 17th and 22nd for October?
Yes.
17 and 27.
2nd of October. Yes.
And we'll go from there.
Yes, and
And then we get into the holidays.
Well, I
And then
think
we'll have to figure out a
my
schedule for-
suggestion in November and December is because end of the both months are holidays, if we can find that meeting. We're required to only have 6 a
and
year
just have one.
and have one in like the first or second week in
I
December.
think that's the only way.
What time?
People travel.
Well, the Saturday meeting should be,
What time? Start with
10
the
o'clock.
19th.
That's a good point, Tom, because we were talking to somebody, a couple of other associations. Most of them don't have a meeting. They haven't ever
Right.
had one.
right.
So if you skip November or the Thanksgiving time period and have the first part of December, that would take care of it.
Yeah, we can combine those 2 months, I'm sure. But would you rather have it the first or second week in December?
so the first week earlier.
First week, so
Yeah.
you're looking at the
People get
5th,
involved with
5th and the
What
10th?
happened to November? I'm sorry.
Well, because of the Thanksgiving holiday, so maybe look at a
We're
work.
skip
We're skipping
November
November.
and just having
And we're
one in
combining December and November into one meeting.
Maybe look at
November the 5th, November the 2nd.
no. We're in December. So
December, it's the 7th.
the
I guess
third.
The 7th or the 14th. I'm sorry.
We could go to the 31st of November.
The 5th or the 12th, is that what you're talking about?
31st of
Oh,
November.
wait a minute.
That's a good
Yes. You're right. The 5th or the 12th for the workers. So the
Let's
5th.
go to the 5th and the 10th.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Of December?
Yes.
Yes.
5th and the 10th.
That will definitely. I'm not available on the 10th of December.
We can go. We could back up to the 28th of November and the 3rd.
I'm available any other time, but not specific.
I won't make it to
Are you available tonight?
Yeah.
You do
Nice
the
one.
9th instead.
We'll do the 9th.
The 5th and the 9th.
9th. What time on
Push it up there.
What, on that Friday?
Yeah, what's
Like 3:30 or 4 in the afternoon?
Yeah.
No.
morning?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, then.
9
9 o'clock?
9 o'clock on the 9th.
And that's
December
the
9th.
That is the
It's a
board
board
meeting.
meeting.
Their work session
Work
meetings.
sessions.
What time are we doing them?
I'm flexible anytime.
Given
Late
it'll be
afternoon.
long, I would say
It's 4:30 in the afternoon best, or is mornings best?
Mornings are fresher. If you have a lot of big issues, there's a lot of time. Like you said, most of the time it's going to take a work session. What's the time? Work.
I would say 9 a.m. So
9
we have-
a.m. on Mondays.
I'm not there. So.
Yeah, right.
I heard the coffee's good at her
I
meetings.
can
I don't drink
call
it.
Cheryl. Right.
I was looking at my calendar, so what did we decide? 28th and the 2nd? Or the,
No, the 5th and the 9th of
Fifth
December.
and the ninth.
okay.
So Monday and then Friday.
I don't think I.
Okay, 5th and the
Okay, you
9th.
want to go through the 3 months real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, September's going to be 19th work session at 9. Saturday the 24th, 10 o'clock. Is 10 o'clock or 9? Saturday morning. What do you like?
I think people are afraid of, I don't know,
Well, it's only going to be an hour.
10.
10 o'clock, 24th is the board meeting. October 17th, work session is 9 a.m. 22nd is the board meeting at 10 a.m. December 5th. It's going to be a 9 a.m. work session and a 9 a.m. board meeting on the 9th.
You're doing it 9 and 9? I mean, 9 a.m. on Monday.
On December only.
Yeah, December, okay, 9 a.m.
It's all of our weekday meetings. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Okay. New business. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I did change it. Public comments. Thank you. Any public comments?
Yes.
Joe Reynolds, 84 Watertown Road. I just want to commend the board for moving to this two-meeting system. The board of directors, or prior to about 2006, 2007, would meet, as I recall, like every Wednesday, once a month, like the second Wednesday in this room. Then they would meet like the second Saturday in that old community at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, whatever it was. Whether you can get people to come back again, like in those days, there were half as many homes in Ocean Pines at that time, 4,000 or so homes. Now we have 8,000 homes. There were 100 to 200 people sometimes, as Joe will tell you, as Tom Stausser, in that meeting every Saturday. 100 people, not unusual at all. There was a big board where you had to take a ticket to make public comments, like when you go to the grocery store on a busy day to get lunch. You had to take a ticket and get in line.
And then
That all
people wouldn't
changed.
put the tickets back.
Yeah, well, they're going to take the last ticket. They're going to take number 100. And there were 100 tickets on the. But anyway, what I'm trying to get to is, it's debatable whether going back to a fixed day and fixed time every month will bring those crowds back or not. That's debatable. But I think those crowds stopped coming when the board, at the time, 2006, 2007, said, oh, well, let's start doing them during the week. We have them at night, do this, we do that. Within a short period of time, the crowds disappeared. Whether they come back or not, I don't know. The idea of having two meetings where one is a work session allowing association members to contribute after the board discusses everything. Bill's a wacky story. Dave Stevens continued. Then it stopped. I should say that Tom Terry continued it a little. But at any rate, I thought it was very successful. I had a fair number of people coming. Association members could come in, participate almost as though they were a board member. They called them and give comments as the discussions took place. Then the board would meet afterwards, as Dave did. He would have the work session immediately followed by a second meeting at the same time. And that would go very quickly as you discuss it because you'd already hashed it out. And I don't believe the meetings went any long by allowing association to think people like. Well, that's all I have to say about that. Let me make one nitty comment. I'm good for nitty comments. We have our agendas that we allow public comments. And in the past year, there have been several board members who have commented that they're not for exchanges between association members and community members. It's for community members, association members, get up there, make a comment, thank you, next. Sit down, next person. Here's the interesting thing. We have something in our agendas that's not really in our resolutions. It's called media questions. Now think about that. We have an agenda that the media can ask the board questions and expect answers, I would assume, since it's called media questions. But we don't allow our own association members to ask questions and get answers. This is rather incongruous to me. I can understand why the board doesn't want to get into long discussions when people come in with problems or whatever they want to discuss. But I don't think you ought to write it off entirely. I think our association members, let me put this, they should have as much, they have more responsibility. You owe our association members more than you owe members of the media, who sometimes are not even association members. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree. I don't see any reason why we can't answer. If we have the answer there, if not, you can leave their name, contact number with Michelle Bennett, and we'll get back to them.
Thank you.
Kathy Grimes, Chairman of the Aquatic Committee. As present board goes off and new board goes on, I would like to thank Bob Thompson for his continued leadership and all his hard work. I would like to thank Pat for his leadership as president and as our liaison, and welcome the new people, and also thank the old board feel for it and welcome the new people. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
Any other comments? Okay, new business. Mr. Trendick, you have a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to instruct Mr. Thompson, Ocean Pines Association's General Manager, to halt any new or currently board-approved projects from starting, including but not limited to any work at the Manklin Meadows area, White House Park bathrooms, the Beach Club bathrooms, and the Country Club-related projects. My background. You have received copies of Article 5, Section 514, Duties, copy of Article 8, Finance, Section 807, Execution of Contracts, and Article 9, Association Administration and Operations, Section 905, Purchasing and Contracts. The purpose and effect of this motion. The OPA board now has 3 new members and faces a pressing need to address several time-sensitive issues in a very short order. Postponing the work on these projects will provide the new board time to conduct a board working session or to convene a special board meeting with the objective to evaluate relevant supporting documents for each project and to review the contracts and expenditures associated with the subject projects. That is my motion, Mr. President.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Call for discussion.
When you're saying the project, so are you including in this the sports court? That's already going on right now?
No, sir. No. These
Not
are
included.
the 4 projects listed in the motion are Manklin Meadows area, White House Park bathrooms, the Beach Club bathrooms, and the Country Club related project.
Ms. Sue.
Just as a general comment for a motion like this at this time of year, because we have new board members. The board changes every year in Ocean Pines, and so we have new board members every year just by virtue of our structure and rotating board. So I think this sets a precedent for halting. You know, we're going to halt. The board approves projects all during the year, as we will approve projects in the coming year. And we'll approve projects in March, April, May, and June. And the board will change. That will be in motion starting, and I don't know exactly where some projects are, which is no. But there will be projects in motion starting, whatever, next summer. A new board is going to change. A couple of board members are rotating off. I'm not sure which ones, but I know it's a couple rotating off. So the board will change again. So next August, September, we say, okay, we're going to halt all the projects that are underway, all the board-approved projects that are underway. I'm not talking about things that haven't started. Are we going to halt those all while the new board gets up to speed again? Doesn't seem like that's very productive. That's, you know, just because of the timing of the start and stop. Now, if there are particular issues with some of the projects that are questionable, then that's a different story. If somebody says, well, and again, I'm the newbie, so I don't know all the details on all these projects. If somebody says the Country Club project hasn't even started, it's just getting underway, that's kind of a different, I think, situation. If we're talking about projects that are RFPs have gone out for, or they've already been responded or started, or shovels in the ground or anything like that, I think that's really a bad precedent to start. And so maybe more specific, something more specific, I could, and a reason for it, like other than just new board getting up to speed.
Mr. President, just to clarify, the intent of my motion is really not to set any precedents. I think, number one, there's been a lot of controversy with regard to Manklin Meadows project, and we need to make sure that the new board has the time to evaluate everything, including what the previous board has done. So I just want to clarify that this has nothing to do with what has been done by the previous boards or not, or what the future boards will intend to do or not. I cannot speculate on the future, but I just want to make sure that my motion is received in a way it is intended, which is basically not to set precedents, really to address projects that really should be addressed by the new board. I further would like to move to make an amendment to my motion. This might be slightly out of typical course of business, but by taking a view of some of the projects, I noticed that the White Horse Park bathroom project has already commenced. The work has begun. Therefore, I move to amend my original motion by striking out the word the White Horse Park bathrooms.
And Mr. President, do I understand that the motion only relates to those matters upon which contracts have not been let? In other words, if contracts have been let, whether work has begun or not, the association has an obligation, a contractual obligation, to go forward with those. I don't care who the board members are who voted for it. So if your motion is to revisit the notion of whether these projects come to fruition, then that's one thing. But it should be very carefully noted that if any obligation has been made, whether work is started or not, in my judgment, that is a breach of contract. So you should make that very clear.
Mr. Hill.
I have a couple comments. I seconded the motion because the work in the Manklin Meadows area was highly contested during the election, and to date, I cannot find a scope of work or any related contracts to that project. What's posted in board documents and publicly available is the project that's multiple phases and accounts for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in every discussion I've had, we're not pursuing that hundreds of thousands of dollars project, but the refined scope is not defined, and I cannot see what the board approved as far as any contracts for work in that area. So I second the motion and looking for further understanding of what that is. Since that project has not had a shovel on the ground, I would really like to understand if it's starting under my tenure as a board member and I have to answer to the homeowners what exactly is taking place there and what the board voted on, because that is not evident in minutes or in any board packets. The White Horse Park bathrooms, I seconded because the material presented in board documents showed a $60,000 estimate with several handwritten notes for amendments to it, and the total on the bid package, I believe, was $84,000. The contract you showed me, Bob, was a different amount than that, and I want to understand what transpired and where the quote went, the changes that were made, the contract, because the documents on that project do not fall in line for what the board voted on, and I wanted an understanding there. The country club was disputed even by you at the last meeting, Cheryl, of not knowing whether we're building a patio or buying furniture or what was coming for the board for approval.
Well,
so
there are a couple issues with.
Well, that was in my second one. I'll slow it down to that was related to patio and furniture. Those were the two issues that were a pending project to start from the last two board meetings. And then the beach club bathrooms, I seconded because I hope in our discussion of these projects we could very quickly bring that RFP process to fruition as we're winding down the season to allow as much time as possible for the contractors to perform whatever upgrades there so we don't run into another project that starts in season next year. I believe time is of the essence, and everything we're discussing here needs to be expedited so that this happens quickly. This is not a stalling for months, but I believe days, so that we can evaluate and then very quickly move on and hopefully bring new projects into the schedule.
At the point of order, Mr. Parliamentary,
Yes.
we had a motion that was seconded.
Yes.
And we were discussing that. Then there was a motion that was.
He cannot amend his own motion.
Thank you.
But.
And it wasn't seconded.
Oh, yes, it was.
The amendment to it?
Oh, the amendment was not seconded. No, well, that was a good thing.
I disagree with the amendment, but If it has already been started, and that's not too far down the road.
Let me know. It's really hasn't.
Well, quick question.
What we have is a motion, and it was second. And we're still in discussion of that motion.
Question I have was time sensitive. How long are we talking about? You're saying stalling or delaying these projects. Is it 2 months, 1 month?
Can we have a
3
work
days?
session the end of this week?
Okay.
Would that be?
Can I get
We
a?
were still discussing this.
No, I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
yeah. Before we
part
move,
of discussion.
yeah, before we move on.
As part of discussion. Yes, Mr. Stevens.
I just wanted to point out, I mean, I agree with the motion because I think this clarification is important. I think we have to stop setback and do it quickly. I mean, this week is what I envisioned with this, and I think the new board members need it, but so do I. And I was here doing every minute of all of those discussions and all the management meetings, and I don't know the answer to some of these questions. And I would like to have them. I mean, I would like to know. So I think it's perfectly proper to review these things, and not with the mind of approving them again. It's not like, I mean, I don't know what will transpire as a result of this, but it's not a second approval process or anything like that. It's letting our new board members know, and old board members like me, know exactly what the status of these projects are. Pat says, well, we need to know whether or not these have moved far enough down the road. Okay, that's what we want to find out. Where exactly are we in these, and how did we get there? Cheryl.
Well,
I'm not
the president.
for the president. I'm sorry. You were but you were looking at me.
I'm just giving. Look, I wasn't.
Oh.
Mr. President, thank you. If you want to know the status of contractual obligations that we're in, we need to ask Thompson about that and not speculate, because as our counsel has indicated to us, and I communicated this to all of you earlier about this, we do not want to be in breach of an existing contract because that has both financial and legal implications. While you say you don't want to set precedent, precedents get set very easily, Mr. Chairman. So you have to be careful. So when you're questioning prior board and what they've done, and saying, no, I want to insert myself into this process. However, Mr. Stevens says he doesn't understand either what's going on. So
I didn't say I didn't understand what's been going on.
Well,
There are some aspects of what has transpired that I do not understand, and I do not understand Michael Meadows or how there could be a contract associated.
Okay. Your motion, however, Mr. Attorney, says including but not limited to. I think that's a little too open-ended, that if you want to make something specific about those particular projects where we are not already contractually obligated, then I could go along with that. And certainly anything new that we haven't undertaken yet, that's fine. But I think we need to ask our GM where we stand on these particular projects you indicated here in this motion. No, are we going to be in jeopardy if we halt what we're doing versus we haven't done anything yet, so it's okay? That would be my suggestion.
Mr. Stevens. Oh, I got you. I would move to amend Slobodan's motion to ask the general manager this week, hold a special meeting with the general manager to ask him exactly the questions that Ms. Jacobs proposes, and that we do that Friday. I'll propose Friday if that's an acceptable date, and that we'll find out all of the answers in that meeting, and that's not a very long time now. So, do I have a second to my amendment?
I would like to before we look at any amendment. I think I would like to ask Bob.
Wait a minute, a point of order. Don't you need a second before we go any further?
I think so.
Unless
I don't get one.
There was no second.
I'll second.
Okay, now we have a second.
Mr. Hilbert.
No.
Before we vote on the motion, I would like to ask Bob, what are the specific contractors, who are the vendors that have an implication related to that motion to what particular project?
I appreciate being asked because I had the information. You don't need another meeting for it, so thank you. The White Horse Park is Beach Construction. They've already started work. I agree, Mr. Moore, I think it's going to be a breach contract. We all the work. So that one we are under contract and work. Shovels are in the ground and the project's moving along. The Country Club, the work that we're having is an engineering report updated. It's one from Becker Morgan that we had in 2011. That work's already been, that's almost complete at this point. So I can certainly call them and tell them to stop working.
But that's not a new project starting. We started the engineering study from before.
Agreed. I'll give you an update on each.
Okay, well that I think slogan on the motion was to new anything that has not been started. The engineering was already started. So are there any other new projects related to the patio or the lake?
There are not.
Okay, so
yes, so the only one's the White Horse Park that's at risk.
So
Which is the reason I suggested an amendment to my motion to scratch that project.
So I would propose a further amendment to the motion.
No. First, we can vote up and down. We can vote the if there's your treasurer. Go back to your being.
Could you please read the motion as we're voting on it?
Yes. The amended motion states that the board shall meet with Mr. Thompson on Friday in a separate. Yeah, I can withdraw it if I wish. Come to think, I'll withdraw my motion. Okay, go ahead, Brett.
As a point of clarification, once we go through this motion, can we put forth a separate motion for the meeting? Or does it have to be amended into this motion?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. So then, first and foremost, to amend this motion, to instruct Mr. Thompson, OPH General Manager, to halt any new board-approved projects from starting. So removing the or currently from that to make sure there's no confusion related to the country club with the engineering study, including and will also remove, not limited to, any work at Manklin Meadows, the Beach Club bathrooms, and the country club. The Beach Club bathrooms and the country club, apparently nothing started, so they're...
That's not true.
I didn't get that. Stop.
He's only done Country Club, right? So far.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No.
I thought Beach was the only one.
White Horse and
All right, and I withdraw the amendment.
We got
I
that.
can just answer that one too if it helps you.
We were on Country Club, who said that was an engineering project. It's a continuum. So that's done. That's where, I think that's where you left off.
Okay. Yeah. Now the Beach Club bathrooms, we have put out, the RFPs have gone out, the work's been put out, it's come back. We're leveling the bids, right? So that's where we are on it. And the next step, once they're leveled, we bring them to the board for any further action. So it's up to you all if we continue leveling them or we stop.
Mr. President, if I may comment, first of all, I need a little bit of a clarity with regard to the engineering study. I need to know whether the engineering study that's currently underway is actually part of the project or actually separate project. Because my motion, as introduced, has nothing to do with any study per se, but it has to do with a project as listed in the motion. So I want to just make sure that we understand what the intent is here. So if the engineering report that was launched earlier is a separate effort from the project itself, then there is no issue of, and there's no conflict with the proposed motion.
No, I can answer that. There's no approved project report that was to study the current conditions the board could decide the next step with Country Club. What type of steps we want to take to develop the project.
So I just don't see an issue then.
Right. There isn't.
With the Beach Club bathrooms.
Yeah,
No, Country Club's what he,
Engineering study.
yeah, right now that
Shouldn't be.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
So we don't need the Country Club in here because there isn't any project.
There
No,
also
we do need it. We need a review, but I'm not trying to. The motion is not trying to stop engineering study going going forward or continuing on. If
Is there
it's
an issue?
separate from a project itself.
Is there an issue with Mankland Meadows? Are we in breach of any contract with Mankland Meadows?
To my knowledge, we're not. I think that's
But
Okay.
let me make a comment though about Mankland Meadows. Pickleball people are going to be pissed off at you guys if you stop him from trying to make that conversion, which Tom worked long and hard to get agreement to make happen to make the pickleball people happy. So are you saying you want that stopped? Well,
Maybe.
All I'm saying is for the next 3 days till we convene as recommended on Friday, I'm not saying kill the
I'm
projects.
ratting you out.
I'm not saying kill the projects. I'm saying review, give the new board time to review current status on those efforts. My motion does not recommend that any contracts be, non-compliant from Ocean Pines perspective. That's the actually part of the exercise evaluating projects on Fridays to make sure that whatever we do, as we learn the status of those projects, that we are not in breach of a contract. If we are, we will certainly take that into account and not act in conflicting way with the existing contractual obligations.
And may I say, with regard to Bob's last comment on the Beach Club bathrooms, this motion instructs general manager to halt any new or currently approved board projects from starting. But we haven't approved bathrooms yet. You're in the process of getting us on the information by which we would do the approval. And we're not telling you to stop that. We're telling you don't release you can't release an RFP until you come in and talk to the board about it anyway. So, I mean, that doesn't stop anything with respect to the Beach Club. Nothing at all.
Most of the stuff,
I thought you said the RFP's gone out.
But they haven't been awarded.
Let me come back.
So you're talking about
and
a
it would
board.
have to come to the board before the board.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Same thing
So do
would
we
be
even
true.
need this?
Yes. I think it's up. Well,
what is the
Maybe you
motion
don't.
then as it currently exists?
Yeah,
I
that
need
would- that would help.
clarification
it's
on-
exactly the same as that the White Horse Park bathrooms, I think, have been excised.
But is there
I think there will be an amendment to that.
Yes.
a time frame for board action? To me, that's critical because this sounds like could be months. I know
So-
it's not going to be. I know.
So let me try.
We need a current motion.
Let me try
I'm totally
an amendment to the
unavailable,
motion to instruct Mr. Thompson's OPA general manager to halt any new board-approved projects from starting, including any work at the Mankland Meadows area, the Beach Club bathrooms, and the Country Club. I would say until close of business on August 29th. So we put 1 week, and if for whatever reason the meeting doesn't work Friday, we have a limited
but we
window
have a very
that we're just
short
suspending any work.
Yeah, the purpose was to get it done quick.
So do I have a second to the amendment to the motion?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Any further discussion?
Call question.
Call the question. All those in favor, raise their hand and say aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed? All right, passes. 5-2.
You have to vote on the original motion.
Excuse me?
Yes.
We voted on amended.
Vote on the amendment, you have to vote. For everything.
All right. All in favor of the original motion, raise their hand.
As amended.
As amended?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Everybody voted on it.
That's
all I can say. And it will.
I'll tell
As a
you,
comment, it was.
because I've done it so often,
Budget
well, we need to
discussion.
figure out a way to get these motions written down as they're made. And my handwriting
They're supposed to be
prevent that
written down
anymore.
before you pass them.
Yeah, Joe.
Budget discussion, B. I sent you all some information beforehand about what I want to talk about relative to budget, but the essence of me asking for it to be brought up here is because I learned from what we did last year that we need to get board needs to get started this process far earlier than what I understood from last year. And so while I think there is a change necessary to the way the budget is put together, I'm willing not to bring that up at this point and get into a lengthy discussion about that. I've provided you all with that information. The reason why I think that that's a good thing, as I learned the peculiar way that we deal with the budget here, which is we approve it and then it's not really approved and it comes back, and that's why things get delayed and rehashed many times. But anyway, I really would like, as part of these working sessions that you're now going to be having, that we start communicating and start working on building what the board wants to see put in the budget. Now, coincident, what we're doing, of course, Budget and Finance Committee is working on it, and management is putting together a budget. And I believe if we do a better job up front in terms of making sure that the appropriate checks and balances are there to begin with, then that gives us a more solid foundation for once we are at the point where the budget is going to be approved. And we don't have to then, every time one of those particular capital purchases are going to be made, have to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. So you understand the essence of what I have proposed, and we can talk about that at length another time, but I just wanted to bring that to the forefront now, that we really have to start working on this budget right away, or we won't be able to do as good a job up front as we need to do to make sure that we are ready when we come to the end of approving the budget.
Mr. Hill?
Ms. Jacobs, would you feel it would be amenable to possibly add a second meeting to our September working session date as immediately after session?
The budget?
Yes, to have a dedicated work session for budget after, or Pat, I guess to your schedule, what would?
Well, and I totally support the board acting on this sooner rather than later, as having been on the Budget and Finance Committee and us considering that, I think, one of our more important tasks. And it starts really early, and I was just looking for the resolution. It's in here somewhere. There's a time, in our current resolution, there's a time frame in which the Finance Committee meets, the Budget and Finance meets with the board. I believe it's in September, to give the committee's recommendations to the board at that point. And in the last couple of years, hasn't happened, been difficult to get there because of dates or whatever. And the Finance Committee really, I think, works on their recommendations, and I think it's really beneficial if we got that in there. I think it's resolution FO2, or the resolution.
Yes, I am.
And there's a time frame for the budget in the resolutions.
The guidelines.
In the guidelines.
It's guidelines from your group too, and it's a full day or one session to talk about.
It's in September of each year. The Board of Directors meets with the Budget and Finance Advisory Committee and the General Manager to discuss overall budget guidance and goals. That's in FO3 FO2 6A. Could we schedule that then with if that date's amenable to the committee, or if there's an alternate date within that same week, so we're adhering to your goal for traveling weeks, that we can make it happen during that week?
Yeah, I think we can work it out to have the full committee or just representatives from the committee. We don't try to commit, but I think timeline is critical, because what happens then, the board drafts its guidelines, and so there's time needed between the Finance Committee's recommendations and the board's guidance. And those guidelines are critical to management before they start the process, so they know exactly, okay, no, not even any sense in doing this or that, because the board has clearly said this is really.
Okay.
pretty much
Fair enough.
depends on how specific the guidelines are, how clear the guidelines are. If they're generic, then they will be of not limited value.
Well, that's good to know.
I mean, I think that's a,
Mhm.
I can,
You mean that to the-
demonstrable
To the
facts.
committee,
that-
to the committee.
Yes, to the committee and to
And to the
ultimately
board.
to the general manager. I think one of the problems that you have, and you can't ignore it, is that if you don't, the projects are budgeted, and the more complex the project is, the more this is likely to happen. Then, in fact, I mean, what Cheryl says is correct. There is a two-stage process that we have. So we employ a year, budget it, goes in there, and then we approve the acquisition or the procurement of at a later point in time. The first one does not guarantee the second, and in my opinion, nor should it. Now, in some cases, if you budget a truck, you're going to get the truck. I mean, 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, the truck's going to be purchased during those times. But if, on the other hand, you budget a project that has a lot of parts and which has a lot of uncertainty associated with that project, then the likelihood that that's going to just pass, or you should assume that that's going to pass afterwards, is just, I don't know how to put it, other than say it's just flat out wrong.
Well, I wouldn't agree to that scenario that you just described. What I'm suggesting is that you don't have one like that. You have nailed down up front everything that you need to feel comfortable that is appropriate purchase per. A different scenario when you say, I know this is going to have to come back to the board because we can't get it nailed down. That's totally different from what I'm thinking about it.
Well, you have to address both, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you've only addressed kind of one so far as I've read what you said.
So to Brett's suggestion, which was to schedule yet another meeting in September to be devoted strictly to
And this
the
would-
budget.
This would involve the committee also.
Yes,
Correct.
the committee and Bob.
You want to do it?
And the general
You want to do it when the committee meets?
That's not what I understood. I thought this was just a board to start working on.
Meet with the committee.
To be in compliance with the FO2,
No, we have to do that as well, but I thought we were talking about it separately.
Well, I mean, I think that the committee meeting can happen pre the board meeting. In fact, it's beneficial if it does, because if the committee has any valuable input, then the board can put that input in their budget recommendation development. You know, so I think we could do the meeting with the committee.
What date is that? Do you have that date?
I don't have the committee right now meets on the
they're Wednesday,
third Wednesday.
which we're in the third week of the month. So
So September the 21st would be, that's perfect.
Yep.
We've met on the third Wednesday for a couple of
So
years
if
now.
we have our working session for the board on the 19th, we could just move right to budget and finance at 9 a.m. on the 21st.
Does that work? And the committee will know that.
Combine the two on Wednesday?
Did you say a Wednesday the 19th?
Not unless you want a long meeting.
Well, if we need to have a meeting with budget and finance, then that's when they're already meeting and we know that they're committed to that date. Will be the
So
best
we
day.
moved the board meeting that date, the board working session.
No, our working session for the board would stay the 19th.
Okay.
The budget specific work session with your budget and finance committee and Bob Thompson will be on the 21st.
Okay.
And then we'd still have our official board meeting on Saturday the 24th.
Okay.
And what time is this meeting?
It has been 9 in the past. I won't be chair anymore, so I don't know. But we can, I'm sure, work for that, at least for that meeting, if the chair wants to change.
And so this is a joint.
Yes, Budget and Finance Committee or representatives
At
from
9 o'clock on the 21st.
They will come and I don't know if you remember what the recommendations.
I wasn't here for
Well, there's a list of specific recommendations from the Budget and Finance Committee to the board in budget.
Yeah, because
the
we got
budget
that ahead of
development.
time last
And then,
year, and
right,
then
right,
we
but there-
commented on
Right,
it,
right.
but but we hadn't started really working on the board together. The individual members, what we wanted to see built in.
Right. And I guess the question would be for the manager, when do you actually start the budget?
We start early September. Can't wait on everyone else to make decisions. I get your input when I get it, but
So
I have to start building it.
So
I would like to request that the work session on the 19th
do you have the budget as part of that?
or at least part of it, yeah.
But, I mean,
Oh, say, Cheryl, I'm sorry.
I would like the work session that's scheduled for September the 19th
Right.
to be
Yeah.
dedicated
The
to our
finance committee.
include budget.
Include the
so we add an agenda item.
Because not the, I don't think, I can't speak for the finance committee at this point, but it won't matter left field.
And then we'll still meet with them on the 21st. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Is that 2 meetings? Okay, let's check. That's good.
Yes.
Just two things I just want to
I have
clarify.
something else to tell you.
It's a,
Go ahead. You want to-
Just, you all were provided with information on the authorization of payment to the GM for financial performance. I think this was an oversight that it wasn't shared with the entire board previously, but you all now
So available to the public.
should be.
The answer is yes. I would just note that I received that this afternoon, like at 7, so I haven't had it.
Just real quickly, as far as this meeting that we're to schedule within the next week or so, are there any particular days that you want to try to schedule it now, or do you want to get back to me through email? What would be convenient as far as Mr. Trendick's motion? I would assume we need the general manager and facilities manager and maybe Soleil to get information on
You say no, we say yes.
Why would you have facilities manager?
It's not a board meeting. It's to get
Informational.
information. That's what. And the same thing, particularly Steve Soleil. I have a lot of questions out there. Not a lot of questions. I would like to have the issue of stormwater mitigation clarified. I don't understand it. I do understand it in general, and I understand it in other cases, but not this specific.
Can we meet this Friday, 26th?
I'm not available. I could be available on the phone at Friday afternoon. I don't want to slow things up, but I'm not available here.
1 o'clock Friday, good?
I'm okay with that.
No.
Are you available Thursday?
No. Friday. Again, I'm available by phone Thursday afternoon.
How about Saturday, 27th? Anybody?
And I can do phone again, which is fine. I mean,
All right.
Do we have a speakerphone?
Yes, we do. Yeah, right over here.
Makes it a little easier.
So are you available Thursday?
Not Thursday yet. Time you talk.
So no time.
Right.
No time Thursday or Friday in the
No,
afternoon.
no. No time late Thursday afternoon, nor early Friday afternoon. But later Friday, earlier Thursday.
What time on Thursday or Friday so we could do this as soon as possible?
But I don't think
I can do phone. I can do by phone. That's fine.
Are we talking about the 24th?
Well,
25th.
The 24th.
Friday the 26th.
25th to 26th.
25th or 26th.
Whatever. You don't
And
want.
you're available late, like 4:30
when.
Friday?
Yes.
Okay.
It's fine.
Is that too late, or is that fine with you guys?
I'm okay with that.
I can't guarantee you Steve Soleil. Just so you know, that's not the question.
Yes.
This is working session.
So what
4:30.
it's just to get information.
What we're going to cover, just so I have clarification,
We'll put out the agenda,
is to find your
the motion.
Yeah.
Could we add to that agenda the presentation on the beach club bathrooms, and could we fast track that so we could actually bring that to a vote and get that project started, since it's going to be almost a month before we have another board meeting?
Yeah. Well, let me say, no, there's nothing to vote on. If I understood Bob correctly, they put out the RFP, so that's all good. Got responses back, got proposals. You're leveling the proposals right now, and you shouldn't wait a second to, you just can proceed doing that. The next thing is going to be when they come in to the board, unless Bob calls a special meeting to expedite it, or Bob doesn't call it, requests one. Unless he requests one, nothing's going to happen until the next board meeting. He's going to come in, he's going to make a recommendation, he's going to say these are the bids, and
I'm asking for that recommendation on Friday, so we already are calling a special meeting, rather than wait until September 24th or whatever it is.
Well, if Bob, I don't think there's any super rush on it. I would like Bob to. I'd like to see that it's done right. So I don't care, but I don't know where you stand in the leveling process.
I'm at the board's direction. Just tell me what you want.
I'm with Pat on this clarification for this meeting. We're asking for a meeting on Friday. Bob, tell us what he already just told us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should stick to clarification, and as opposed to something which we're actually going to vote on.
And the problem there, I see, once he gets RFPs and vets through, if we keep on having special meetings all the time, we're going to have meetings every day of the week for a month. You can't do that. You got to have some time period where you have it at the board meeting or at the working session, but you can't keep having special meetings all the time. It's the interest. Including me.
I think they just want an update on what's been going on since they knew. They just want a quick update, and we do it as quick as we can.
One session, more, right? Joe, right?
I didn't.
No, the session you were paying attention. The session that we have where we what's it called? The session we have over at the.
That's the orientation.
Orientation. It's a 2-day session to get everything. Brent Hill will know everything.
Talk about that. What is this?
Yeah, just a point of clarification regarding Mr. Renaud said. We're not talking about having 20 special board meeting sessions here, special board meetings. We're talking about working sessions. There's a difference between a special board meeting and a working session. Excuse me. Not necessarily. Now, second of all, I appreciate what Mr. Thompson stated about projects in question in regard to the motion, but we also know that a lot more information needs to be provided that the motion calls for, in addition to his short summary. So, example being stormwater mitigation issues related to the project. So therefore, motion has already been voted on. Let's stick to where we are. And it's just that, to me, I just need a clarity whether this is a working session, a special board meeting, to act on the motion as suggested on Friday the 26th at 1:30 p.m.
Here we are on the 21st. It's reasonable to think that.
Actually, we're on the 22nd.
20. Oh.
That calendar's off.
I was wondering why everything seemed weird, 2017. Oh, God.
So it's now August 2016.
Well, how come? All right. I mean, I really think we should stick to clarification. No motions, no anything. Let's just get the information.
Well, and I mean, the motion didn't talk about clarification. The motion just says halt.
Well,
doesn't say until we get clarification, does it? Well, all I've got is this motion here. Do you know what I'm saying?
And they struck most of it from that motion.
It just says stop. It doesn't say until we get clarification. Then you know what I'm saying?
Well, when we call for the meeting, that will be part of the agenda. What the meeting is going to be basically consisting of, and in support of the approved motion.
All this motion said is to halt these projects until August 29th, right?
What did your amendment say?
Yes, the amendment was to halt it until August 29th,
That's
so
all
that
the
we could have. That was the purpose of me to have a meeting.
To have the meeting.
Before then.
Does it say? Does it say to have the meeting? I'm just curious. What did the motion
No,
say?
the meeting was not a part of the motion,
Or until
and that's why I asked about if I was able to provide the subsequent motion
Or until
to have the meeting.
Yes, and I think we agreed that we have a special session.
Yeah.
But you're not halting anything that's on contract.
Well, I think the motion is,
Didn't
Well, I
we
don't know.
discuss that?
Well, we don't know. I guess we
He
said there are no
told you.
contracts with Macklin Meadows, so we need to figure out what those, I guess, proposed contracts are if there's some proposed work.
Well, there wasn't any. I mean, this motion, in my opinion, is ridiculous, worthless, because we scratched everything that was in it, but for Macklin Meadows, I guess, and that's really the only thing
don't
that
think
you
we
really
did.
want to know what's
That's not
going on there.
That's
Because
not-
the
no,
engineering
scratch it.
study
Wait.
was the only thing, and you said we're not going to deal with the engineering study. White Horse is already in progress, and that would be a contractual breach if you
I
told
think
him to stop that. You said scratch that.
postponing the work on these projects will provide the new board time to conduct a board working session or to convene a special board meeting with the objective to evaluate relevant supporting documents for each project. It clearly wants a meeting to clarify these projects. And all of the projects, the only one we took out was the one that is actually has got, where they're moving earth to build that bathroom over here.
Well, no,
And-
because he said the beach club, not any work there, so nothing to halt. We've got the RFP that we're going to deal
If-
with after the fact. The country club, we're not doing anything there for the engineering report. We said don't stop the engineering
Well,
report.
I think we can suggest that Beach Club will be discussed, and that if nothing else, we get input on what are the number of proposals, what do the proposals look like. There's plenty of information that we can
That's
get.
what you want to
And-
do at this
and-
meeting coming up. Well, that's not what you said earlier. You said no, don't bring that in. Let him take his time, level it, bring it back forward.
What I said was
That is what you said.
Except for clarification, Dave.
I said for clarification. That doesn't mean we don't discuss it. But on the other hand, what I did say, it's not going to stop him from doing it. It's not going to stop him from doing a single thing.
Mr. Trendick.
Thank you, President. Let's try to clarify the terminology that's being used here. A review of an RFP or a proposal does not indicate stopping a project. So let's be clear on that. Nobody is asking general manager to stop reviewing proposals. That is not what the motion said, nor does my offer of purpose and effect state that. That answers the beach club bathrooms RFP. Second of all, we have already, as introduced by the amendment to the motion, striked out White Horse Park bathrooms because it's been confirmed by everybody that the project has actually started. Contractor is on site with the equipment conducting work. Therefore, that has been removed from the original motion. There's nothing currently in the motion or in the purpose and effect that really should be confusing anymore. I have simply asked for no new work to start with regard to these three projects. As far as I'm concerned, a lot of us have experience in projects. Engineering study related to the country club is not part of the project. Never has been. I haven't seen a scope of a project that includes engineering study. This is a separate activity. Therefore, it should not be considered as part of the project, which really is related to what my motion states. Therefore, I truly don't see an issue, and I would like to suggest that if motion is required to call for a meeting, then let's put one in. Let's put one forward, or
Let's move on. We called for us, but two directors asked for this meeting scheduled. 26, 4:30.
26 to 4:30, right?
And I'm going,
Yes. And I'm just going to request that you email me 2 requests each for liaison to advisory committees, and I'll try to get that out within a couple days. Anything else?
I had three motions that I'd like to put forth on new business.
Really?
The first motion was I move the budget for the Ocean Pond Association for fiscal year starting May 1st, 2016, ending April 30th, 2017, be amended to remove the food truck from the yacht club operating budget. If that capital purchase was removed, that the request from the public comments at the last board meeting.
I will second that motion.
Whoa, I don't even have a copy of this, so you can't do that.
No, you,
Just do a
well,
motion like that.
Cheryl, you're the last. I
I
agree with you, but you're the last person to say it.
I just,
But however,
was it on the agenda? Like, yeah, I don't have it either.
We've got a couple of rookies here, so we're doing our best.
I'm a minute or two late to get ahead.
Are you doing all three of these motions?
yeah,
Yes, I would request all three.
and I would have basically objected. If I objected to Cheryl's, I'm going to object to this, Fred. The board should have an opportunity to read a motion before the meeting occurs, particularly one that is substantive in nature. Now, we sometimes make motions kind of on the fly, and they're pretty much unanimous and people agree to. But an motion that's going to be, I don't even know what they say. But I mean, and that's the point, I guess, is that it really isn't appropriate to bring a motion for the board and expect them to read it and make up their mind on it without having time to consider it. I think I'm pretty. Am I not consistent in saying that over a long period of time? Bob's nodding his head. Sorry, Brett.
The other two motions that I had were issues that are, I would say, both were addressed in the last 24 hours to me, which is why they weren't submitted in advance. And they're related to 39 Westfield and the odor issue in the yacht club.
Brett, you weren't here 2 years ago when Dave took over as president. Made a rule you had to have any motions 3 days to the board so they could reconsider. We don't have any time.
Well, at least at the beginning of the meeting.
Is there a motion to table the? Is there a motion?
There's a motion. Yeah, I'll make a motion to table.
I don't think. Second.
Oh,
Yes, I second it.
Oh, you did.
I did.
Well, I would just ask that those motions be added to the agenda for Friday.
I don't know that we're having a regular board meeting on Friday. I think, what is our next board?
September 24th.
September 20th.
Okay. I see the issue. I would suggest, Brett, that if you want these motions passed, that we call a special board meeting. And you could do it on Friday. You could do a special board meeting right after our informational meeting. That might be the very best way to go. And we have a special board meeting then. We'll be here and we can just discuss these, and I don't know.
There's a motion to table. Is there a second?
What?
Second, Mr. Bernal?
To table until a special meeting on Friday to follow the informational meeting that we're having.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of tabling the motion, raise your hand and say aye. All against? Okay, it's tabled at this time.
And in the meantime, you're going to provide some
I'll send an email
background
out.
associated.
Are we tabling all three motions?
At this, yes.
Yes.
I won't present it.
Do you have any comments on these, Bob?
No, sir, I have no comments. That's it.
Any media comments, questions?
Thank you.
Call for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You already got my information.
Mm.